Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to brand new 2020 Chat Show, a chat show for small business owners and creative entrepreneurs to help you build your brand, boost your business, and grow your audience. I'm Olivia, and today we're going to be talking about the power of personal branding on your LinkedIn. Joining me today is a fascinating woman. She is originally from Hanover in Germany, but has lived in Dubai for many years. She started her career as a social scientist, then kind of moved on to become a doctor of philosophy. Please welcome on the show, Dr. Natalia Wiechowski. Is that how to pronounce it?
Almost. It's complicated. So this is why I'm like usually I just, elegantly move on because I don't want to make anybody feel like,
I love it. Nobody can pronounce my surname, so.
Fair enough, right? That's what us exotic people.
Exactly.
So it's Wiechowski.
Wiechowski.
And once again, thank you so much for inviting me, for having me over. And I really look forward to entertain your audience, to have fun together.
Me too. I've been looking forward to this chat for a while. So, Natalia, before we talk about LinkedIn, I really want to find out a little bit more about you because I think you have quite a fascinating story that you could share with us today. So you started obviously your career in corporate, I believe. And then at the age of 29, you decided to quit, to leave, and to start from scratch. And then you went on to have a 9-month sabbatical. And, I'm really curious to know what happened during that 9 months. Was it a love, eat and pray type of sabbatical? What did you want to achieve? What was your state of mind during that time?
Yeah, so it was not really a love, eat and pray. I wish it was. It was more of I locked myself away in my own flat for 9 months. I say goodbye to 85% of my friends, and I finally confront myself with all of these questions that I didn't have the courage or the strength to confront myself with. Questions that I have been procrastinating because I used to be a notoric people pleaser and everybody's darling. So until the age of 29, I literally lived in a way how everybody expected me to live. And I did everything so that it looked amazing on the CV or on a LinkedIn profile. It's like, wow, that woman is really, has a stable career. She has so much potential. She's amazing. But I realized that it doesn't make sense. So I started working, student jobs and part-time jobs when I was 15. And at the age of 29, I realized I am living my whole life based on a massive lie, story / illusion. And that idea is, I'll be happy in my next job. I'll be successful in my next job. And don't get me wrong, on paper, it looks super successful. And my team and I, we won excellence prizes and we were on the cover of leading magazines. But none of this made sense to me. I didn't feel happy. I didn't perceive myself as successful. So during that sabbatical, I literally started with waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I started to meditate. I started to read, 4-5 hours sometimes per day, just to get new ideas into my head because I knew something up there was wrong. I don't know what it was. And I needed to figure out if there are different ways of working, different ways of living. How can you at that age have an early life crisis and feel low on energy and question your sanity? Like, was I about to go nuts? Was it all about losing your mind? Was that actually maybe something good? So I literally, I started from a point of what if everything that I ever learned or everything that I ever thought I knew was an illusion, was a lie, was wrong. And I took all sorts of different concepts out of life, and I asked myself, what is it that my society, your parents, your friends want me to think? What is it that I really think and believe? And how can I change in everyday life to feel better? And I mean, at a certain stage, I created a list with all of the things that I always wanted to do, and I did them. I experimented with them. I made tons of mistakes, and I always say I failed myself up to my dream lifestyle and career of purpose, because there's no other way. I mean, writing sounded fancy and social media sounded amazing, and I somewhat also liked modeling, and I liked to make people laugh, but it was all theoretical. So only during the implementation I learned, okay, I'm good at this. For that, the payment isn't so good. This one consumes too much time and energy. And it was a continuous trial and error and testing until 6 years later, ta-da, I am where I am today. And I needed the help of other people like coaches, mentors, healers, shamans, whatever, to help me to really find my true core, because I wanted to reinvent myself. I wanted a 2.0 version of Natalia. And in the 2.0 version, I wanted to make the most out of my knowledge, my crazy character, my potential. And I wanted to have a healthy and great environment and lifestyle first, and build a career and a business around that. So this was a fundamental shift in awareness and in how you can live and work.
That's fantastic. It also shows how strong you are from character to be able to do that, to be able to stop, question yourself. Not everybody can do it. So it really shows your strength, I think, and your intelligence to not just accept what's been given, but to go and look for what you really want. So when you came out of that sabbatical, transformed woman, you then created Think Natalia, which is your business which focuses on coaching entrepreneurs on personal branding, social media, with obviously a big influence focus on LinkedIn. But you went beyond just creating a business. And this is what I think it's super fascinating, is you could have just created a business and stopped there like most people, but no, you decided to create a global brand. So that is just enormous, especially, like I said, for us little businesses down in Hampshire. And, we kind of look up to people like you because you had a dream, you followed it. So when you first created Think Natalia, was that your aim, to become a global brand? Or is this something that grew with you as you created your business and moved on in your business?
So my goal was to become my true self. My goal was to be as authentic as I can be. My goal was to really see what happens if I find that core, and if I take it and, mirror that back at people and show them, hey, I'm a crazy human being as you are. I just work insane hours because I used to be an athlete, and I know that if you want to build something, you need to put in a love and time and energy and everything. So I never really had the goal of being an international brand and being, speaking on in this and this many countries and having projects here and there and being featured literally all around the globe. That was never the goal. And it wasn't a goal because for me, I couldn't imagine that. It was beyond my imagination. But by reading and studying other people who made it internationally, who have built a sustainable long-term brand, they all said, focus on yourself, focus on adding value, invest in yourself every day, no matter what happens for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And everything that we just talked about is a nice side effect of that. And I was like, ooh, okay, so let me focus on myself. And this is the deal that I made with myself. So every day I need to become one step better than I was yesterday. So today better than yesterday, tomorrow better than today. And when you do that every day, you become 365 steps better per year. After 3 years, it's over 1,000 steps. What happens after 5 years? And I believe that we human beings are here to explore and to grow. And I really believe in unlimited potential, but our belief system and this crazy little voice that we have in our head, and most probably also the people around us and media and advertising, keeps on, feeding these fears and insecurities, and maybe sometimes also tell us stuff that doesn't help us to grow to the next level, because we all know that we buy out of something, and that we believe that in order to change, in order to fix something, feel happier, healthier, more successful, we get that on the outside. It starts on the inside. So work on the inside and literally, understand that the world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe the world. And when you do that and commit to it, I am 100% sure that you can also turn into an international brand or business by taking people by the hand, by telling your story, and by serving others. But you need to commit to that, and that requires a lot of time, focus, and energy.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen with just lying in bed half the day, for sure. So, I mean, for the audience today, small business owners, some of them might be at the beginning stage of creating their own personal brand. Do you have any quick, bullet points advice of what they should be thinking about right at the beginning of the creation of their own brand?
So it all starts with a proper message or positioning, or however you want to call it. So what do you stand for? What do you stand against? How do you want to be perceived? What are your values? What is important to you? What are your colors? Whom are you serving? Why should people choose you and not others? This is the absolutely crucial foundation for every business, every personal brand, every brand, every product, because people need to understand you. If they don't understand why I should choose you and not your competition, or what kind of problems you solve and how long it takes and how the whole thing works, it will not work. So make that, decide on that first, and then on the next step, you can, for example, use LinkedIn and then work on your profile. But if you don't know, like, and trust yourself first, other people will not know, like, and trust you. And that's a problem, because people only buy from people that they know, like, and trust. Yeah.
And with most of this sort of online buzz at the moment is focusing quite a lot on sort of visual aspects of social media. So it is quite easy to ignore LinkedIn because for many years, it was seen as a platform where you just loaded in a CV for employers to find you. But LinkedIn, the perception of LinkedIn is changing. I think the platform is massively evolved as well over the years. Most small businesses now should be on LinkedIn. Really, it's a platform that can really help the business. How do we go about creating another social media page just for the hell of doing it is not going to help us. So what's the first thing that we need to think about before creating a LinkedIn page for our business?
Why? Figure out your why. Why do you want to use it? What is your goal for it? Because when you are not convinced, then you will not put in the love, the time, and the energy. So once you understand what your goal is, fine. And only use LinkedIn when your target audience is on LinkedIn. When your target audience doesn't use that platform, maybe invest more time and energy on another tool where you know that your users are there every day. Then for small businesses, you need to ask yourself if you want to use a company page, or especially when you're a one-man or one-woman show, you might have a buddy or a friend. If you're like 2 or 3 people, does it make sense to create a company page? Or is it smarter to use your private profiles? Because people follow individual profiles 11 times more likely than a LinkedIn company page. Because again, we want to see people, we want to see the faces, we want authenticity, we want stories. And we know that especially company pages, and I think the big corporates and big brands might have spoiled us a little bit, because their communication needs to be so perfect, so on point that nobody can do anything, because if they say something wrong, that could end up in a disaster. The brand could be ruined. Lawyers would have to step in and all that. So everything that they post is almost sterile. And that's why we're like, not interesting anyway. So you get more drama and fun and excitement from individual profiles. So you decide company page or private profile. And if you decide for a private profile, you need to understand that it is not an online CV. You need to design your LinkedIn profile like a landing page, like a web page.
Yeah.
See it as a shop window. So make sure that you tell your story, stand out, that I understand who you are, like in your header. Don't use just fancy titles that nobody gets. Tell me, what do you do? For whom? What's the end result? And then in the about section, tell me more about your achievements, what excites you, and use a call to action. You know, especially when you work in a creative area, you need to have a great background picture that is visually pleasing. You need to have a good profile shot so I can see you. So I like, if you don't have a profile picture, I'm like, nah, that person has something to hide. So that would be the first steps.
Absolutely. Or a terrible picture. I mean, I'm a photographer, so I understand the power of good photography. I have to admit that for many years, for me, LinkedIn was quite a boring platform. I'm creative, and so it wasn't a platform that attracted me naturally because I couldn't be creative. You couldn't really, at the time, inject your own personality. Now you can do that. So you've mentioned some of the key things that we need to do, but how can I now make my profile so engaging, creative, and a profile that oozes my brand? What would be, so you've mentioned headlines, you've mentioned having the top banner, the photos. What about the description of what you do? I see so many profiles. I go through every night and I look at profiles, and all I can see is the words I help, I help, It's becoming quite boring for me to read people I help. Do we need to be a bit more creative in the way that we describe ourselves on LinkedIn?
I mean, in the end, you decide. You can be as creative, wild, funny, different, controversial as you want to be. And I mean, if you really want to make the most out of it, you can use the section at the end of the about section if you still have the old version, but LinkedIn also updated that. There is a featured section underneath that where you can upload photos, videos, documents, presentations. Why don't you create a short video speaking to the camera, introducing yourself? Show me a presentation of, you know, your stuff in which you teach me something. You need to turn your profile into a source for others, that they spend a lot of time there, that they see you in your element, you teach them something new, and that they have the feeling that they really, as if they would meet you, you know, at a networking event or something. So ask yourself, how does my typical user or client think? And then use his or her language, use visual guidance, use all sorts of media, and make sure that they spend a lot of time on your profile. So fill out the experience, the volunteers section, use notes, use or mention projects, honors and awards, languages, get recommendations, and I don't know, skills, and mention your university. Because the more time people actually spend on your profile, the more we'll be like, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So went there. So she worked over here. Cool. So the more time they spend, the more they build a connection. Sure. And that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. And what about endorsements? Are they still important, endorsements?
That's a very good question. So I talked to a few LinkedIn hackers, growth hackers, and they said that, like, nobody could ever confirm that, but that the skills mentioned in endorsements, you know, are somewhat or somehow connected to the LinkedIn internal search algorithm. So when you sprinkle the keywords across your profile and when you get them endorsed, apparently you rank higher in LinkedIn internal searches. So it makes sense to use these keywords and to also get them endorsed. And I think because a lot of people abuse this function, LinkedIn also implemented this new quizzes. So now for certain skills, you also have quizzes, and you decide, you know, once you've taken that quiz, if you want to show the results, yes or no. But I mean, endorsements, nice, but I would really focus on recommendations. Because recommendations is PR, and self-marketing or PR just runs a little bit smoother on a greasy foundation of PR, because we value the opinions of others. That's why people look for, when they travel, they have a look at TripAdvisor reviews. Absolutely. Before you buy something, you read the reviews on Amazon. So use this section and ask other people to write you a testimonial or recommendation and do the same for them. That will make a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, you talked earlier on about business page. I mean, I've created a business page for brand new 2020. I love the look and feel of that page because it's a little bit like maybe sort of an Instagram. You can see all your feed. It visually looks, but it's probably not as engaging as my personal page. Which is less visual for me. You have to, click a couple times to get to the content.
This is
you don't have
right? You don't have a feed.
Yes, and I struggle with that because I'm a visual person. So, and therefore the business page is great because there is a feed and I can almost tell a story through that. It's more like a storytelling page. Is storytelling important for brand on there? I mean, can you storytell on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. You have to storytell. I think stories are one of the easiest way to build connection, to get people hooked, to inspire them, to empower them, to make them angry if that's part of your brand for whatever reason, because you might, use anger to inspire or encourage people to do something. I think storytelling is a tool that will never, ever be out or never, ever be like, it doesn't work. Invest in your storytelling skills and have a look at what other people do. And especially when you use powerful pictures or powerful videos to combine that, that could be incredible. But if you're just a great, phenomenal copywriter, you can even achieve that with phenomenal copy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, today, we can compare maybe social media channel with almost like a TV channel. Most people do not want to go into a TV channel and be bombarded with self-promotion and ads and so on. I think people today are looking for content that's educational, motivational, or entertaining. So what type of content can we create for our page, again, to make it more entertaining and again, using from our brand, voice and messages? What kind of content can we create?
So I always recommend designing a content strategy that, let's say, 60-70% is all about solving the problems of your audience. So understand your audience. How does their everyday look like? How does their reality look like? Where are they frustrated? Where do they feel stuck? And then create content to help them. Take them by the hand and solve their problems. So if you make 67% of your content that, and the rest of it could be everyday stories, business hacks, trends, an offer or a promotion, client testimonials, seasonal trends, shout outs, thank you, kudos, whatever it is, that people like that. And this is also how you connect. This is how you tell your story, as you said. And it also, the positive side effect is that through that you build your credibility as an expert, because you tell me something and you're giving it away for free. So I'm learning, and everybody wants to learn different stuff and different things. So once I understood it, or once I realized, okay, I got the basics, but maybe, you know what, let me hire her, let me work with her. Once people reach that step, when you have a conversation with them, it's totally different, because they have the feeling that they know you. So they talk to you as if you would be somebody, a friend, a neighbor, whatever. And you would then sit on the other side thinking, do I know them? Have we ever met before? No, okay, it's social media. And this is the beauty of it. So don't shy away from giving away your great content. Some people even are all about give away your best content. You need to decide that, because it highly depends on, of course, on what you offer. But I believe that certain things, you will just achieve them so much better when you have a partner. And especially when it comes to branding, sure, you can learn how to design a logo or what kind of colors stand for what, or you can also learn how to become a great photographer. but it's always different when a pro touches it and does it, because that person has years of experience.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're then paying for that expertise, for that experience, for that extra level of amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads nicely on to another big strength of LinkedIn is the networking, that platform that it offers. So another great way to connect and engage. What's your advice on how we should utilize LinkedIn as a networking platform?
A lot of people, they don't connect with individuals that they don't know. And I find that a little bit sad, because there's so many lost opportunities. So it all starts with having an honest conversation with yourself and looking at your current social network, your social relationships, social ties, friends, however you want to call that bubble. So ask yourself, am I happy with the people that I surround myself with, the people that I know? If not, who is missing? What kind of people would I love to have in my network, to hang out with, to call, to get advice from? Okay, fine. Then you create some sort of avatar. And based on that avatar, you just used LinkedIn's filters to, let's say, you want to connect with more female entrepreneurs in Sydney, Australia. Cool. So you go and type in founder, and then you go to the next filter, which then says, country, city, and you put in, Sydney, Australia, and maybe some other filters. So LinkedIn will give you a new search engine results page, and in there you will see a lot of people who actually have this criteria that you're looking for. And if you see somebody that you resonate with, it's a little bit like in a candy store. Go to their profile. Exactly. Pick and choose. Mix and pick, right? Go to that profile and ask yourself, wow, that person is amazing. This is exactly somebody that I want to have in my network. See what you have in common. Send out a personalized contact request. And, in an ideal world, you would also have an idea for a collaboration or an idea for a project. Because what I find sometimes a little bit annoying is when people are like, oh my God, we need to connect. This is so amazing. I'm like, okay, fine. So we connected. Yeah, we need to have a call. This is phenomenal. I'm like, yeah, sure. So what would the call be about? Oh, I just want to see and brainstorm if you have any ideas. That's not how it works.
No.
Get clear on what you have to offer, how you can help the other person, what kind of awesome stuff you can do together, and come from an angle of, this is what I can offer you. You don't owe me anything. I just want to help you. I just want to do awesome stuff. And if it doesn't work out, well, it doesn't work out. But I did my homework. I prepared, and I'm not going to waste your time. And let's say if you do that homework and connect with 5 people or 10 people every day, and then once they connected with you, you maybe start chatting, or maybe you decide to have a 10-minute Zoom call to explore opportunities, to maybe connect people with each other. This is so powerful, and especially nowadays during the times that we live in, when there are no or almost no networking events in real life. This is a great way to expand your social network, and you will never ever make it to the top on your own. You need other people need you. We are social beings, so let's see how we can help each other and how to make this a win-win situation. And again, either it works or it doesn't work. No hard feelings.
Well, you make it sound super exciting to be on LinkedIn.
That's my job.
I know, you're doing it well. So to follow on from networking, there's also another huge thing on LinkedIn. It's obviously building your own community. Now, I don't know if Facebook LinkedIn groups were as popular or are as popular as Facebook groups, but do you think that that's the way forward now, to be able to engage with the community and with your audience in a sort of a new way?
I mean, LinkedIn groups are not as popular as Facebook groups, but they went through through a reinvention a few months ago. So I, for example, have a closed LinkedIn Facebook group for my private paying clients.
Yeah.
And for us, it's amazing. We love it. And like, there's so much conversation, and we celebrate success in there, and, you know, recommend other people. Hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer. Hey, I'm looking for a German to da-da-da translator. Hey, I've seen your post. They're not working because da-da-da-da. So very, very powerful. But it really depends on, you know, the group itself, the people in there, and on how you want to build a community. What is nice with groups is that they are somewhat of a protected space. So especially when you're a shy person, or when you're new to social media, or if you really want to focus on a very, very, very specific niche, then finding groups, joining them, and having conversations in there, very, very powerful. But the goal is to not pitch and sell your stuff in there, but to see what other people are posting, what the moderators talking about, and then contribute with your knowledge, with your wisdom, with your experiences. So that will be a way. But I personally believe in building a community on your private profile or your company page through extraordinary content. Content that adds value, makes people think, laugh, take action. And the way how I look at it, I don't know who said it, but once a person said it, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way to do it. So every piece of content for me is a temporary stage that I put up. And so it's a temporary stage, and I'm speaking from it, and this is the content of my post. And then at the end of my post, I say, what's your opinion? What's your feedback? I want to hear from you. Comment below. So everybody who comments then walks up to that stage, grabs the microphone, and says something. And then based on that, we can continue having a conversation. And the next comment is another person who walked onto the stage while the other person left. So it's a continuous flow of speakers who walk up the stage and go back. And then my job is to answer and have conversations with those people who said something, or maybe connect people to each other. And the most amazing thing is that I'm not only then building a community and having a platform where I build my own tribe and community. No, I also make it a space where people who have similar values and goals as I have meet other people who have same goals. You won't believe how many friendships and partnerships and even relationships were started on some of my posts, because people met each other through my content. And I think this is mind-blowing and so beautiful.
Yeah, fantastic, really fantastic. Thank you for all of that. So Natalia, you I think you quite recently published a book called Personal Branding with LinkedIn. So
hello, in English and in German. Woo!
That is good. That's all I know in German. So tell us about this book. What made you decide to write it? Who is it for? And what juicy information can we find in it?
Yeah, so I know that if you are an expert, you need a book. And I'm always preaching that. But I'm like, I actually not live up to my own expectations. That's not good. So I knew that I needed to have a book. And I was in this conflict. Should I, publish it with a publishing house? Should I do it on my own? And there's also a cultural difference. So when you live, for example, in the States and you self-publish, people are like, yeah, you're the best, you made it. When you self-publish in Germany, tendency-wise, people are like, oh my God, is that book so boring that you couldn't find any publishing house? But when you understand how the money flows, what happens with the intellectual property when you write a book, and what it actually means working with a huge publishing house, I said, I like it, I respect it, I accept that, but not for my first book. My first book needs to be my thing. I want to do it on my own, because I've written a PhD, and other people said, you can't do this, you should do this, that. I'm like, I want to publish something once in my life where nobody says you have to. So I said, it's mine, it goes out there. I literally took all the questions that I can remember that people ever ask me when it comes to personal branding and LinkedIn, and I threw them in there. And then I realized, but so many people also ask me questions about my private life. and about the sabbatical. It's like, you know what, let me throw that in there as well. So my sabbatical, how I became a LinkedIn unicorn. And so it is a very unconventional book, because part of it is really, you learn a lot about what's personal branding, what's LinkedIn, how do I combine them both, which literally step-by-step, advice or goals or questions that you need to work on. But the other side of the book is literally, I call it an emotional striptease, giving you access to the first version of Natalia and all my insecurities and the mistakes and everything that I needed to learn or unlearn in order to become the person that I am today. So instead of writing 2 different books, I said I take the best out of it, throw it together, get it out there, and the feedback is phenomenal. I mean, people love it, and it inspires them, and so grab it. It's out there on Amazon for just, I think, €13.90 when you order it in Germany. The price is almost the same when you order on Amazon.com.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll put in the link when I edit the video.
Awesome.
Another quick question is, who inspires you? Who do you look up to? Who's your inspiration?
Oh, there's so many, and out of so many different areas. So I, for example, let's start with, for example, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He, for me, is just such a calm and such a positive and such an impactful man. I really love him for that. Gary Vaynerchuk, I think, his content, the way how he goes out there and builds a community and always comes up with new ideas, phenomenal. Tiffany Haddish is ridiculously funny. I mean, I learned a lot about comedy from her, also studied her work. So I literally have role models in all sorts of paths of life. So spirituality, social media, stand-up comedy, and because I don't believe that there's this one person who's great at everything. No. So I believe in having a handful of role models to say, I admire her for this, him for that, him for this. And, in an ideal world, I would have dinner with all of them at the same stage. Let's see.
Take the best of each one.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So, so you've also got your own program that you run online, again, for entrepreneurs who need help with their personal branding and LinkedIn and how to build a LinkedIn profile. So we'll put the link of that as well on the editing. So again, I'm assuming the course content is very similar to some of the subjects we've talked about today, how to build your profile, how to boost your credibility, your audience, and so on. Yeah.
Generate leads, tell your story, how to expand your social network, how to also create an ambience or an area where you can be productive. That's very, very important to me. This is especially at the beginning. So how do your habits look like? How does the room look like where you work at? Profile sharpening, repositioning, photo shoots. How do I do my first videos? How do I create an article? And so much more. But I mean, in its core, it's, as you said, personal branding, content marketing with the art of storytelling and a splash of social selling on top.
Perfect. And so what's next for Think Natalia then? What's on the agenda for 2020?
What's next? I mean, the book project was the big one. So that was done. Then I wanted to relaunch my podcast, which I successfully did today. So I'm like, next project done. Okay. I want to create more edutaining content. So I want to learn more about the art of humor and comedy and mix that more with my knowledge. So also the first video is out there, and that's now a weekly new thing that I've forced myself to really, really be silly, or totally like the raw myself to make edutainment like real edutainment, to get even more out of my teacher role and more into my clown role, to show people you can get both, because that's important to me. And I think that through that I can have even a bigger impact on the world. And it's also an easy way how to lure people in through humor. And then, once they already know me, I'm like, by the way, this is also the knowledge and the a half. So I think it's also, yeah, that could end up in something very interesting.
Thank you, Natalia. I'd love chatting to you. It's gone really quickly, but I think our time is up. Yeah. But yes, thank you for coming on the show and sharing all your inspirational story, your knowledge with our audience, and wishing you all the best with maybe the next book, next projects, and make sure you do get some sleep at some point.
Oh, I sleep.
Sound like you sleep at all.
I sleep enough. I go to bed super early, so that's big.
That's good. Okay. Well, thank you, Natalia. You take care, and hopefully you come back on the show another time. With pleasure.
For sure. Alrighty. Thanks so much, and all the best. Bye.
Thank you. So thanks, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this show. If you're not on LinkedIn yet, I'm sure that Natalia's just persuaded you that you need to be on LinkedIn. It's a great platform. Make the most of it. Optimize your profile, build your credibility, and really engage with your audience. So again, thank you. Join me next week as I welcome another super guest, Danny McCabe, who is the founder of Mama Tribe, and we're going to be talking about how to create your own tribe and also how to protect it. So make sure you join us next Monday at 4:00. And until then, keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. Come into the group if you need any help and advice on branding. We've got the Creative Hub with lots of hints and tips and information for you guys to help you build your brand. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. And don't forget, be visible. Bye for now.